This is Bruce again from fighterkitecentral.com, and I get many emails from fighter kite fans about various fighter kiting topics. One of the most frequent, though, is about adjusting a fighter kite. How to adjust the bridle, how to get the kite to spin faster, how to get it to spin not so fast, how to get it to behave in specific ways. And I thought maybe I could go over several of the different solutions that might assist you in adjusting your fighter kite if you have similar questions or difficulties. First, when you get a kite, make it or buy it, if you adjust the toe loop here on the main bridle, it's larks headed on so you can adjust it up and down the bridle. Adjust it so that the kite will be relatively flat to the table. If you're doing it indoors is the best, because then you know it's not going to have wind interfering with this process here. And this is just to give you an idea. It's really not to do anything else at the moment, but just give you some rough idea of whether the kite's balanced or not statically, right to left. And this one's pretty well balanced. The thing that you need to do if it's got a 3-point bridle, and that's what we have on this kite, is a 3-point bridle, is to make sure that the location of the lark's head knot that attaches the upper bridle yoke to the lower bridle leg is in the center of the spine when you pull the upper bridle yoke tight. And if that is that position, and the kite is flat to the table, parallel to the table surface that you're holding it above, then the weight distribution is quite even. If it leans to one side, it obviously means it's heavier on that side. Or it could mean that the bridle was attached improperly. Even though it's in the center, it may have not been attached at the equal distance from the spine on the right versus the left side. These may be different. You may not know that at the time. So rather than adding weight to the opposite side that appears heavy, I generally just adjust the bridle position so that it's flat. That isn't always going to work, but normally it will. Now, if your kite is flying relatively well, but seems to always turn to the right, then what that's telling you is that the leg from the lark's head knot to the bridle connection point on the bow on the right hand side, if it's turning to your right, that leg is shorter than it should be to allow the kite to fly straight. To correct that, simply move the lark's head knot a little bit, and I mean a little, 1/16 of an inch or less, to the left. That will lengthen this right hand leg, and that should make the kite fly straight. If it doesn't, either you need to adjust it more, make the leg longer if it's still turning to the right, or if you over adjust it, you're going to have to move it so that if it turns to the left now, that means that the left hand yoke side of the upper bridle is too short, and you need to move the lark's head knot a little bit to the right to lengthen that again. And you continue with that process until it flies straight. The position of the toe point connection loop here, this moves up and down the lower bridle and can be locked with a lark's head knot anywhere. But if you make it so that it's just about just a slight angle where the kite's got its tail on the table and maybe an inch above the table on the nose, that kite will probably fly, but it'll fly relatively slow because it will be positioned pretty much perpendicular to the wind and not much of a angle of attack. So that's one of the keys. If your kite is quite active, too active for you maybe, or you want to study what it's doing a little bit, to slow it down, move the toe connection point towards the tail. Now when you do that, it may also spin differently. The location of the toe point along the lower leg of the bridle affects several things. One, the speed of the kite, the way that the kite spins, and to some degree how easily it goes into a spin. Now if your kite is spinning too much, move the toe connection point towards the tail, and that should reduce the amount of spinning, but it will change the spinning. If the toe connection point is moved forward towards the nose, that will generally give you a kite that'll spin more easily and spin better. But it will also make the spin one where the kite goes in small circles rather than rotating around its center. Now a rotational spin is usually achieved by having the toe connection point lower than you normally would, and then adding a little weight to the tail of the kite. Adding weight to the tail of a kite will increase the amount of spin it has. So if your kite isn't spinning much, or not enough for you, take a piece of putty. This is actually a material you can buy at a craft store that is used to stick up pictures and posters on walls without using tape. It's just kind of a sticky, stretchy putty. Take a piece about the size of a pea, make it into a piece that'll fit on top of the back side of your spine, and then adding that weight will increase the spin on the kite. If your kite is spinning too much and moving the toe connection point towards the tail isn't helping enough, add a little weight to the nose of the kite. A kite that is nose heavy won't spin very well. Maybe not spin at all, it depends on the kite. And so that will take care of that. And if it's not spinning enough, often it's because the spine, especially if it's a bamboo spine, they may not have enough bend in it. So increase the bend. Simply, I just put it up against my body so that the warmth in my body helps with the bend and keep it. And I just push the nose away, hold my hand here, and just bend it gently until it increases its bend a little bit, and then fly it and try that. If it's spinning too much for you, in addition to putting weight on the nose, you might try bending the spine to a straighter position. This is a little bit dangerous because bamboo, when bent in that direction, tends to crack and split, and it's a little bit more fragile that direction. So if you try that, be careful. And I think that's about all I can think of that might aid in your having a fighter kite flight that you'll enjoy more. And I hope it helps. Thanks for watching.